Hello, hello, hello. Let me turn my music down. I have to have my music playing in the background just to kind of get me going. Thank you for joining us. We'll get started in just a little bit to give some other people that registered, but I know a lot of people will go back and watch the replay. And I will be recording. Hey, let me stop it so I can speak. I am Dr. Tiffany Rouse. I am a marriage and family therapist as well as a relationship coach or expert, whichever one you want to go by. But I do provide coaching and consulting services. And I specifically work with women who are healing and recovering from traumatic relationships. So anything from divorce, abuse, sexual abuse, trauma, infidelity, divorce, all of those things. I provide services for those women. My goal is to see women heal and not just heal, not just survive, but thrive. And so one of my goals for my business is to provide these one-on-one, more intimate settings where people are able to ask questions, because I get them all the time. Usually it's in my inbox and I'm sending like 5, 6, 7 different voice messages back to answer people's questions. And I was like, you know what? Let me change that. Let's do something different where people will have the opportunity to get to know me, actually listen and observe how I answer questions. And then if you have any follow-up questions, or if you really want that one-to-one coaching live, we can do that right there. And if you want to work with me separately or privately, then we can go from there too. But this is something that I specifically wanted to give away to people. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I see some Mississippians in the house, some Biloxi and some Pelahatchie. So thank you so much for being here. If you check your chat, you will see a link. If people come in later, they may not be able to see it, but I will put it in an email with the replay just for showing up. I have a free gift that I want to give you, which is just a note and a note sheet where you can kind of keep notes. I know it's probably going to be hard to do that as we go along, but grab your pen, grab your paper. The replay will go out. You will have this download that you can print off at a later date, that you can go back, watch the replay, and take notes at the same time, should you be able to or wish to do that. So I am not going to hold you long. My goal is to keep you no more than 30 minutes. I didn't have anybody who was brave enough to want to come on camera and let's actually do a coaching session for this session, but that's okay. I probably talk enough for all of us. So I promise you it's okay. And we'll dive right into the questions. Let me pull my questions up here for this session. And if you have somebody that you know that needs this information and did not sign up, share the link with them anyway. This is not the last time that I'll be doing it. My goal is to do them at least twice a month. So I would do it again come December, somewhere around the beginning of December or the end of November. So make sure you share that link with them anyway. I'll leave the link open so that people can register, because my goal is to really just have these every month. So let's see what we have here for questions. I should have had all of this ready to roll. Okay, so let me go back. Y'all bear with me just a second. That's what I'm looking for right there. Some really good questions, And I'm just going to go in order. And my very first question is, how do you let go of someone you love, but you know they're toxic? I really admire people because y'all didn't hold nothing back on asking these questions. And I admire that because that means you got questions that need to be answered, and we're going to get an answer. And I always say this: if I do not have an answer, I'm not God. I don't know everything. I will find the answer for you. I will find someone that can answer it, or I will find that answer. But this one I know the answer to. How do you let go of someone you love, but you know they're toxic? This one is hard. It's hard. Because I get a lot of women who, well, I love them and I see so much potential in them. And I just know that if they did this, they will be better. Or if they made this change, or if we made these changes, well, that things will be better. But that's the problem. I think as women, we sometimes hold on to potential or what we possibly could see happen in the future, or what has happened in the past that obviously is not happening right now. Or you may have some moments where things are going good, and then then it turns terribly bad, and then just not doing well. But how do you let go? You let go by cutting off. That's the thing about it with toxic relationships. You already know. Well, let me go back and let me define what toxic is. So when you're talking about a toxic relationship, you're talking about a relationship where there is some type of abuse present. Now, it doesn't always have to be physical abuse. It doesn't always have to be sexual abuse. It can be emotional abuse. And what I tell people about emotional abuse is a lot of time with emotional abuse, it is hidden. You can be 5 years into a relationship and not realize that the emotional abuse is present because it's kind of deceptive on the surface. So it may start out with some name calling, or it may start out with them kind of emotionally ghosting you, leaving you hanging when you need something emotionally, but they're not giving it to you, or they're criticizing you and put you down, or your self-esteem is diminished, or your self-love, like your love and care for yourself, is starting to be wasted away. And you kind of look at yourself like, who am I? I don't really know who I am anymore. Like I don't even love myself right now. That's how you know that you're probably in a toxic relationship. So there is some form of abuse that is usually present with toxic relationships. And I say this, anytime there is any form of abuse present in relationship, if you are married, then at that point, you need to start planning your escape route. Now, escape doesn't mean I need to get up and, separate. I don't tell people to divorce. That's not my job. That's not my role. That's something that you have to decide for yourself, whether or not you're ready to divorce. But I do say that a separation is needed. And during that time, you need to spend that time going to get your own help, going to get your own counseling, going to get your own therapy, and then they need to do that the same thing. Now, this is only in a marriage. In a relationship, we'll get there in a minute. But in a marriage, they need to spend that time going to get the help that they need. And then at that point, once you're both and your therapist, coach, whoever you've hired, determine that you're in a better place, then you come together and have marriage counseling. And then from there, marriage counselors are going to put the proper steps in place. They're going to make sure that you have a safety plan in place. Like, you need to know, like, your triggers. What's going to happen if, this, then what are you going to do? Are you going to get out? Are you going to call a friend? What are you going to do? So you need some help. Bottom line, you cannot do it alone. You need somebody that's going to help you navigate through that if you're in a marriage, unless I can't do this. Like, I'm tired of picking up my tears off the floor or wiping my face. I'm tired of this. I don't know who I am. I feel this small when I'm around this person. I am tired of this. I cannot keep doing this. And you know that it's time for you to move on. You know that you're ready to make that step. Well, the next step is then for you to cut off. If you have children, that's going to look a little bit different. If you don't have children, then you could cut off and begin making that step of how to begin to create your life outside of that person. And I always say after that is a mourning process. Like, you're going to go through, man, I love them. Man, I miss them. Man, I remember them times, like, the holidays are here. I remember that when we spent the holiday together, or when we had this one Christmas, like, all of those memories are going to come back to you, those emotions that you feel, because you love them. You love them. Your love is not going to go away just because you decided to move on. So you have to give your emotions time to go through the process of really grieving them, grieving the relationship, grieving what you thought you had, grieving what you thought it was going to be, grieving what it might have been at once upon a time, and now it is no longer. You have to go through that grieving process. No, they're not dead, but the absence of a person can trigger grief. The person doesn't have to be physically not here any longer. They could just be in another place, or you guys can be, divorcing or whatever. So that's in a marriage. If you are single and you're in a toxic relationship, get out of there. Point blank, period, poop. Get out of there. Ain't no explaining. You know, I'm not gonna go on my soapbox tonight because I done been there. I done been there where we just trying to explain, well, they're this and they may have these good qualities, or, you know, we grown. So, oh, he got his own car. He got his own house. He, you know, he making major moves. He's successful at work. He's this, he's that. But he's toxic. He don't show up for you. He don't know how to meet your needs. He's selfish. He's arrogant. He's narcissistic. He cares about himself. These are toxic qualities that and red flags that we do not need to ignore. And if you are not married to that person, you get out. That's it. You get out and you still go through that same grieving process, especially if your heart is invested, you love them, you really care about them. You're going to go through that same grieving process. And during that time, I said, you need some good girlfriends. You need somebody that's going to say, girl, get up from there. Come on, let's go shopping. Or, hey, you know, I'm just checking on you today. Not fake ones. Now we know the difference between the real ones and the fake ones. We know, let's be honest. We know, because some of our friends can be toxic. The good girlfriends, you need them, the ones that's going to really show up for you during that time. So good question. That's how you move on from someone that is toxic. So our next question, let's see if I can find it. Our next question, it's kind of the same. What advice would you give someone who wants to leave a toxic relationship? This is literally the same question. And I love it because, y'all, I didn't even really look over these questions. I was like, we're going to get the real experience. I'm going to answer them live like I would if you were meeting with me one-to-one and I didn't know what you was going to ask me. So I really didn't look over. I just kind of glanced over and make sure, you know, I had questions there, the answer. But I really didn't look at them. But yes, the same advice I would give someone who wants to leave a toxic relationship: cut off completely. You have to cut off. You can't say, well, I'm just going to hold on to their phone number, or when they call, I'm going to pick up the phone, or when they text, because they will text to try to loop you back in, because that's kind of the qualities of being in a toxic relationship with someone who may be emotionally unavailable or unhealthy. They will call, they will reach out to you, they will kind of loop you back in, because sometimes they miss you too. Let's just real be honest, or they may miss what they had with you. So they will reach out. But I say cut off. You cut off so that you can give yourself what you need during that time, even if it's nothing but giving yourself that space so that you can allow your heart to heal. You cut off. If you need to block them on social media, block them on social media. Some of these people are be stalking. They'll call your friend, they'll call your mom and them. Like, cut them off. If you need to change your phone number, if you need to tell mama, daddy, don't pick up the phone when they call. Don't tell me if they call. Don't tell me if they're gonna be around. When I'm around, let me know in advance so I don't show up. So you go through what you need to go through so that you are beginning to cut those connections off with that person. And I mean, and we're emotional. Like we tend to pour so much sometimes into people that it is really hard for us to say no, back off, cut off, because we're like, well, what if they need us? Or what if, something happens? Or what if, what if they'll find somebody else? That's what they will find, somebody else to answer their question. They'll find somebody else to go drop their stuff out. They'll find somebody else. But what you do as a woman is that you set those boundaries and saying, this is where I stop. I am not doing this anymore. This is not serving me any longer. And I'm not giving you something that I can no longer give. I can't give it to you anymore. Sorry, can't get it. You don't need their permission. You don't need, some people talking about closure. I don't even know how I got on closure. I need closure and we need to meet and talk. I was working with one client and she was like, we need to meet and talk. And I just feel like we need to, process through what happened. And no, you don't. You don't need the closure. The closure is closing off. That's the closure. You come to the decision that this is no longer healthy for you and you cannot go on. You don't need closure. It's an illusion. It's false. You don't need closure to move on. What you need is a strategy. You need to be able to cut this stuff off, set boundaries, and heal. Let your heart heal, let your mind heal, reset, figure out why you still going around in circles with these toxic people over and over, or why you ended up in that one toxic relationship. Because everybody's not, it's not a pattern for everybody. For some people, it's just one person. What drew you into that one person? You need to be able to process through this so that you're not continuously going in cycles over and over and over. So I hope I answered that question to the fullest. I told you I can talk. Once I get going, I can talk. So that's that question. And then I got another one. Let's see here. How do someone get over, move forward from past disappointments? This one's really good. From past disappointments, starting from their dad, then past men from relationships, and present men that is family who's supposed to be a great male figure. Oh, this is so good, because you just told me that the pattern is from the very first man in your life, which is your father. Now, fathers set the precedent for women of what man they should tolerate, what a man does. They literally set the foundation, because fathers are your very first relationship. So how do you get over and move forward from past disappointments? A lot of people don't want to hear this one. You got to face them head on. So I remember this. I share a little bit about who I am. So I at 15 found out I got pregnant with I got pregnant with my son at 15 years old. And then I had him at 16. And again, I was pregnant at 18 years old with my second son. And I'm a 4-time sexual abuse survivor. So that means that I have been raped or molested 4 times in my lifetime, starting at the age of 12 by different people. And so when I got to college, I dropped out of college, my first year of college. And when I decided that I wanted to go back to college, I made the conscious decision that I can't keep doing this. Like I've been through a whole lot of guys that none of them were good. None of them were healthy. And because I wasn't healthy. And I literally got to the place where I had to face, well, why is it that I feel this way about guys? Like, why do I feel like I can't trust men? Or why is it that I feel like I need to mistreat men or have an attitude around men, have this vendetta out against men? It's because I was angry. I was literally angry at men. And instead of really dealing with it, because I didn't really know, like, when you're young, you just don't really know. And then sometimes when you're older, you don't make that connection. I didn't make that connection that the real person that I was angry with was my own daddy. And so I had to face what my daddy wasn't to me. I wasn't raised by my parents. I wasn't raised by my mother. I wasn't raised by my father. I was raised by my great aunt who passed. And that's who I call my mother. But I had to face, my daddy wasn't there for me. He was in and out of jail all of my life. He put drugs and alcohol and, in the streets and women. He put all of that over me and my sisters. I had to face those things. And in order for you to move forward, you have to go back to that foundation, because that's where it all begins. Our parents, both of them really set the precedent for every other relationship. And if you are finding it like you have a bad relationship with your father, it's going to be really difficult for you to have good relationships with other men. I can't answer you why. It's almost like what they call the law of gravity. What goes up is gonna come down. It's the same way in relationships. It's like, what starts is gonna continue, because there's some areas of you that you've not completely healed. And as weird as it sounds, it's almost like you're gonna attract people. You're gonna attract men to try to heal those wounds. And really, their role is not to heal those wounds. That's not their role. They can't do it. They won't ever be able to do it. They won't ever be able to feel those wounds. They won't ever be able to feel those spots, those longings in your heart that you have for your real father. They won't be able to do it. They will never be able to do it. It's not their role to do. So you have to go back and actually face the first disappointment, the first hurt, the first pain of your father. And then from that, every other person after that, you have to go back. Well, what happened in this relationship? And it's so like these things, it's hard. It is hard. I've had to do it. I've walked several clients through it. This is trauma. This is trauma work. This is attachment work. And attachment just says that the foundation, who you are, the foundation of who you are came from how you interacted with your parents. So if your parents were inconsistent, you probably got relationships that are inconsistent. If your father was absent, you probably have a partner that's absent. You're probably with someone who's absent. If they're absent, if they're present physically, they may not be there mentally or emotionally. And let me explain that. They may be there physically. They may come home every day. Y'all may go out on dates, and then they may be your, person you call when you need help with something. But emotionally, when it comes down to them understanding what you need emotionally or showing up for you emotionally, they may not do that. They may not know how to do that because we attract people from the place of our brokenness. So you have to go back and repair that. You have to go back and heal from that original foundation and then begin healing from every other relationship. I think they said, starting with their dad, and then from men in relationships, you have to go back and heal those wounds that were there, that happened, and then begin putting what I call boundaries in place. And a lot of that is going to be not attracting, fixing your self-worth, or repairing the breach in your self-worth and your identity, because fathers give identity. Fathers help you develop your identity. Mothers usually help you develop your worth, your self-value, and what you feel about yourself. But fathers help you with your identity, help you stand firm in who you are. And so you have to begin to go back, repair that, and develop some things that you weren't able to develop because you didn't have anybody there to help you get those things. So a family who is supposed to be a great male figure, what it sounds like here, this cycle, because of the hurt that was from the first original male figure, because of that, you're attracting that hurt over and over and over. And it's just because you have some unhealed wounds there that need to be addressed. And you also may struggle with setting boundaries. Boundaries say, this is where I stop and this is where you begin. So you don't get to be in my life if you're not, being consistent, or if you are being disrespectful to me, you don't get access to me, or you don't get to talk to me any kind of way, and I stay there and put up with it. Or if you're not don't have integrity, you're not doing what you say you're going to do, or I get to choose how much time I spend with you. And boundaries are healthy. We all need boundaries. Even when you're married, you need boundaries. I had to learn it the hard way. You don't just give to your spouse and you're not getting anything in return. You have to have boundaries. So I think that was all. Was that all the questions? I have several more questions, but I cannot go through them tonight. So here's what I would do. And this is my plan. I'm going to write them down. And then I will make it my business to go through them in the next live Q&A, or I'll go through them in my weekly topics. And so I'll announce all of that ahead of time, so you guys can join. But the replay for tonight will be going out along with the replay from the earliest, the session from earlier today. And if you have any questions, remember, put them in chat. So yeah, we'll have the replays will go out, and you will have access to the replays. And something that I really wanted to do, because I get a lot of questions about toxic relationships and communication, and I get a lot of those questions. And so for Black Friday, I will be releasing a very a special thing that is just for people who are on my email list. And because you signed up for and registered for this, you will have access to those Black Friday deals. They will actually go out to you on Saturday before they hit social media. So you'll have access to take advantage. And I'm only offering limited slots. So I'm offering limited slots for one-to-one consultations, and they will be half price, my original price, as well as a course. If you one of those persons like, I don't know if I can do this, I'm not ready to take this next step, I don't know what I want to do, like, I'm still just trying to figure this stuff out. I am offering my course half price. So my course is usually priced $97. Is the moving past the hurt. Because there's so many people that's dealing with hurt, so many people dealing with pain. Just in a lot of this stuff we didn't notice until COVID, because we're at home. Like, most relationships, if your relationship was good, you probably survived COVID, and you're good. Like, y'all stronger. Your relationship got stronger. But if your relationship wasn't good before COVID, then chances are some hurts came up that you didn't realize were even there. You were too busy before to even pay attention to. And it's something about COVID, because we lost so many people and so many things happened, that people was like, you know what, I'm not doing this. Like, it is time for me to move forward. It's time for me to get through this. It's time for me to overcome, so that I can become the better version of myself, and so that I can begin attracting the love that I really want in my life. And you can teach people how to treat you. Like, I tell my married women that all the time, it's not too late. You can still teach people how to treat you. So here's my questions. Yes. Good. Yes. Do you recommend couples counseling in a serious? Absolutely. I recommend couples counseling in a serious courtship, because when you're I'm not going to say in love, because serious courtship may not say you're in love. You may be kind of, I don't know. But I recommend a couples counseling, because we don't see things that other people will see. And a counselor is going to ask you questions that you probably didn't even think about asking. Like, how do they family deal with this? Or do they know, like, are you familiar with, his morals, his values, who he is really, and where did he come from, and what he's still struggling with? Or, the counselor is going to ask those deep questions that you probably hadn't even thought about asking, and questions that are really vital to the success of your relationship. So I absolutely recommend couples counseling if you are serious about going to the next phase of their relationship, and you don't want to waste time. You want somebody that's going to go to counseling with you. If they say, I don't believe in counseling, I don't, that's a red flag, because you want somebody that needs accountability. And you also want somebody that says, I recognize when I need help, or I just want to go to support you. And if this is what you need to support you and to be comfortable moving forward, then yes, let's do it. And you need to know these things about a person if you are serious about moving to the next phase. So I hope I answered that question. Yes. Thank you guys so much for sharing. I'm looking at comments in the chat. Thank you so much for sharing. As promised, I did not want to keep you on here past 7:30. Thank you so much for your time. And as always, if you have questions, message me, get in contact with me. You can reach me by email, Tiffany@drtiffanyross.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. So my website, however you need to get in contact with me, get in contact with me, and be expecting for those specials to be rolled out. They are Black Friday specials, and they will roll out to you guys first. But I wanted to wait until I had all of the videos before I released those, and they will be released on Saturday. So expect that, along with the replay with your workbook, if you didn't get a chance to get it on tonight. And I look forward to doing this again. This excites me. I love doing this. I love the interaction, especially with COVID-19. It just kind of hurts that we can't interact as much as we used to. But I thank you so much. Yes, and you all have a wonderfully blessed night. And thank you for signing up. Remember to share this with someone else. They still have time to register for this Saturday session. And I talk to you later. Have a good night.